Hello, everyone. We just want to welcome you to this afternoon's treasurers report. Treasurers, I'm sorry. Is it 202?
As far as I know, it's the same one.
Same presentation.
Yeah, same presentation.
Okay. I know there's 6 people on the call so far. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will make sure that the presenters know that you're ready to ask a question. Where did I put them? I need to bring this down. Just the way it looks, put it here.
Hi, Lisa. I see you have your hand raised.
I was just trying to verify, this means for secretaries and treasurers or just treasurers?
This is just treasurer.
Oh, okay.
The secretary, I believe the Zoom was in the first session.
Okay. Is it possible to get the notes from that? Because as my Zoom says, 115 for secretaries as well.
I believe there is a second secretary class. It's just not offered on Zoom for the second session.
No, they're doing Zoom. They are doing Zoom right now.
For secretary? Oh, okay.
Yes, let me see if I can get it and put it in the chat. Give me a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm here for secretary as well, and I
Okay.
clicked on the link.
Okay.
So did you know you can, if you look at the bottom of your screen, do you have breakout room?
Me? No, let me check.
Go to the very bottom.
No, I
No.
don't see it here, but Wendy, I noticed that they changed the links, but they sent a new email, but the email won't come in your regular. It went to another folder for me. I had to search for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let
but
me-
they changed the links from the original.
That is correct. Now I'm in breakout room 2 and Heather is in breakout room 1. So give me a few moments. Let me just go out and get it for you.
Okay,
Thank you. If you could give us the meeting, yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Recording in progress.
Okay, who wants to go? It's not allowing me to get out. Who wants to go to breakout room 1 for the secretary class?
I do.
I
is
do
it?
as well, Lisa James.
Okay, so it's James. Give me 1 second.
And B.
Okay, let me see if I can move it. And B. It's not allow me to.
Also, MET.
Okay. Okay, so let's see, it's Anne. Yes, I have breakout room 1. So it's James. Let's see if
Okay,
can-
I got a link to join room 1.
Okay, because who is that?
That's Ann B.
Okay, so that one, okay. So, and it's James. Let's see if I can get that one done.
I got to join break room link as well, Lisa James.
Okay, Wendy, are we ready to start?
Is that Heather?
We're ready to start? Everyone's,
Yes, Heather, you have,
They're
you
correct?
can start.
Okay.
I'm trying to still work on it. It's not, I may have to have Heather Brooks do it. So
Okay,
just give me a few minutes and you
sure,
can
no
definitely
problem.
start.
No problem.
Start your presentation.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon.
Everybody's gone?
Yeah, it's the same presentation.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I have can I have your number?
Sure.
Cause I'm new to this, true to this, but this is confusing me. I wanna quit.
Heather Lopez, can you please
Yes.
mute your phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, sorry about that. Good afternoon. My name is Heather Lopez, and I'm going to be presenting the presentation for the treasurer. So once we get started here, this is what we're going to be discussing: the treasurer's procedure book, Florida PTA kit of materials, treasurer's record books, internal controls, membership dues and council dues, budget and treasurer reports, annual audit, tax filings, fundraising, gift cards, raffles, unrelated business income, otherwise known as UBI, sales tax, and PTA insurance. So the treasurer's procedure book. The treasurer's procedure book contains all the necessary information to be a successful treasurer. The procedure book should contain the list of the 5 Florida PTA compliance requirements with the filing deadline dates, your IRS determination letter with your federal EIN number, copy of sales tax exemption, if any, copy of W-9, if any, banking information such as institution name, branch, account numbers, etc., including any online banking credentials and your bank debit and credit card info, your Florida PTA kit of materials, dollars and cents, the treasurer's guide, your treasurer's forms such as a copy of your deposit and check and debit expense forms used for record keeping, written procedures on how to properly handle funds that can be shared with board members and committee chairs, and a copy of your most recent Florida PTA state office approved bylaws. So the 5 compliance requirements and due dates are your officer's information due by July 1st. Local unit, new and returning officers' contact information is entered online only at the floridapta.org new or returning officers form. Your membership dues are due the last day of every month. State and national portion of your membership dues is $3.50 per member. The annual audit due date is August 31st. Completion and filing to the Florida PTA at audit@floridapta.org. Filing your IRS taxes with Form 990. Due date is November 15th to the IRS and November 30th to Florida PTA, and that needs to be sent to 990@floridapta.org. And lastly is your bylaws. The due date, they have to be renewed every 3 years, reviewed and updated on the most current form, and approved by Florida PTA State Office, and they can be submitted online at floridapta.org/bylaw submission form. And then once you're newly registered as a treasurer, the Florida PTA will automatically send you an email that includes a kit of materials, and they are all sent out to the president, recording secretary, and treasurer. Your treasurer's guide will explain roles and duties of the treasurer in full detail, and that is the dollars and cents treasurer's guide. So the treasurer's record books. So what is needed? The treasurer's record books contain all the annual financial data, your prior year annual report, your bank statements, including any, if you use Square, Venmo, PayPal, Stripe, which is what is used on our member hub when they make deposits. If you're selling anything online, all those statements need to be included as well. Your checkbook register with a running balance, and that can be in any form, Excel, even handwritten, or any accounting software reporting would work. Your deposits, receipts, your check verification forms, check debit expense forms with receipts, treasurer's ledger, your treasurer's reports from all meetings, final approved budget with all the amendments, current approved bylaws, your file copy of your IRS Form 990 from your previous year, your membership list, and your certificate of insurance for PTA. So some helpful tips in organizing your treasurer's record book is record transactions in a timely manner, assemble proper documentation as purchases and sales are made, file documentation into record books within a week of the transaction. This helps keep everything in place, and you won't be scrambling at the end of the school year when it's time to submit your books to the audit committee to perform your audit. Okay, we're going to move on now to the internal controls for banking under check writing. The bank account requires 3 authorized signers. All checks written require 2 signatures, no matter the value of the check. Reimbursement checks cannot be signed by the same individual check is written for. Never make checks payable to cash, and never pre-sign any blank checks. That will ensure to make sure that the funds stay fully controlled. On the deposit side, deposit funds promptly after an event or fundraiser. count funds with another board member or committee chair. Fund counters need to fill out, sign, and date the cash verification forms, and all deposits require the treasurer's deposit form along with a copy of bank deposit slip and completed cash forms. Okay. So the bank statement and reconciliation needs to happen monthly. And your first step would be is the treasurer should receive the bank statements, whether it be via mail or online. The treasurer reconciles the bank statements to the treasurer's ledgers. Treasurer prepares a reconciliation report showing all outstanding transactions, and the treasurer requests 2 non-account signers to review and sign and date the report. So at the beginning of your first board meeting after you're elected, I suggest to request some volunteers that are non-account signers to be your monthly review to sign off on your bank statements and reconciliations. So on to receipts. So it's all about receipts. So we want to issue receipts for all funds received, cash, credit, check, etc., and also for any sale of any inventory items. Expense receipts, original receipt from any in-store purchases, print out online order receipts, and you'll need your check debit expense form that is approved by your president. Deposit receipts, a copy of the bank deposit slip, the cash verification form, your PTA deposit form, and the bank receipt from the deposit. And here is an example of a reimbursement form. All the information should be filled out by the person who's requesting a reimbursement. And this will get then signed off by your president, which is where the approved signature would go. And then the treasurer will log on their side which line item on your budget it would goes towards. Okay. Now we're going to move on to membership dues and council dues. So what are membership dues? Membership dues are the portion of dues that are due to the national and state PTA for every membership sold. The portion of dues due to national and state PTA is $3.50 per member. Membership dues are due to Florida PTA on a monthly basis and need to be paid in the month of which the memberships are sold. Dues can be paid by check and sent to the Florida PTA state office along with the Florida PTA membership form, or dues can be paid electronically through Member Hub. This is the quickest and easiest way to submit your payments. And on the next slide, I believe I have a sample form. Here is the sample form. If you do mail in your payment to Florida PTA, that needs to go along with your payment. So council dues. Council dues are the membership dues that each local PTA unit is required to pay to their county council on an annual basis. Council dues are income that help fund events the council showcases to the county community. The county council does not fundraise. Council dues are due by October 31st annually, and paying these council dues keeps the local units in compliance. Do we have any questions so far? No? So budget and treasurer's report. So what is a budget? A budget is a working document that presents the estimated income and expenditures for a set period of time. To start planning the budget, a budget committee must be formed. What is a budget committee? A budget committee is a group of people within your organization that creates and maintains fiscal responsibility for that organization. So budget committee and the budget approval. The treasurer serves as the chair of the budget committee. Budget committee should contain at least 3 members, including the treasurer. Budget committee holds meetings creating the budget until the budget receives majority approval vote by the committee. Items needed for the budget committee meetings is your previous year final approved budget, your previous year ledger, proposed calendar for the year, and any plans of work if available. Once budget committee approves the budget, the treasurer will present at the board of directors meeting for approval. And after the budget is approved by the board of directors, the treasurer will present the proposed budget to the general membership at the first membership meeting for approval. And here's the sample budget. This is the income portion. As you can see, this local unit has it broken down between passive and fundraising. And your passive income reflects if you participate in the Amazon Smile, your box tops, if you sell banners for advertisement, and any donations or grants. And then your fundraising would be the types of fundraisers you're going to do for that year. And then here is a sample of how they list all the expenditures. So there's an operating part for under admin where your council dues are, your PTA insurance, any convention training. Then it breaks down into your programs, which are the events you're going to have, and then down as well as your fundraising expenses. So any time there's a line item on your income side, there should be a corresponding expense to go along with that. And always make sure you include your summer budget on here, so that way once the school year ends and until the new board that's coming in creates their budget, you can still function and operate during those summer months to keep things moving along. Any questions on budgeting? Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the treasurer's report. Treasurer's report is a monthly report that summarizes the financial activities of the organization. The treasurer's report will show the opening balance for the month, the total income, the total expenses, and the ending balance for the month. So here's an example, again, of a local unit. They start out showing their starting balance, their income from the time period of the month coming in, their expenses going out, and then their ending balance for that month. And that balance should be the balance that gets reconciled to the bank statement. Next, we're going to move on to the annual audit and tax filings. So what is the annual audit? The annual audit is an official inspection of the individual or organization's accounts by an audit committee. To conduct the audit committee, an annual audit, an audit committee must be formed. An audit committee is a group of members of the organization that oversees the financial statements and reporting. So what is the purpose of our annual audit? It's to certify the accuracy of the PTA books and records of the treasurer, to reconcile the checkbook balance with the bank statement balance, to assure the membership that the association's resources and funds are being managed according to the best practices of National and Florida PTA, and as well as the IRS 501c3 guidelines. And it's also to remain in operating compliance with the Florida PTA. For the IRS and Florida PTA, each local PTA unit is a subordinate of the Florida PTA 501c3 group exemption list, and accordingly, the IRS requires Florida PTA to have a copy of the annual audit report for each local unit on file. The audit committee and conducting an audit. Audit committee is selected by executive board. Audit committee consists of 3 members who have not handled PTA funds during that period. Audit committee members must also be a non-signer on bank accounts. Audit committee reviews all documentation that is provided by the treasurer's record books. Audit committee must complete the Florida PTA annual audit financial review form found on the Florida PTA website under floridapta.org/forms. The completed audit be presented by the treasurer and adopted by the members at the first general membership meeting. To remain in compliance, completed audits are required to be sent to Florida PTA by August 31st of every year, and completed audits are to be submitted to audit@floridapta.org. Do we have any questions so far on audits? I can't see if anything's going into the chat.
There are no questions so
Okay.
far. It's only questions about moving from one room to the next.
Okay. If I'm going too fast, also please let me know. So additional audits may also be required in addition to the annual audit. So some instances would be if a treasurer resigns and or a new treasurer is coming in to replace that resigned treasurer, the new treasurer should not take custody of the books or begin writing checks until an audit is completed and fully signed by an appointed committee. And also you would want to do an additional audit if any PTA funds are suspected to be missing. And here is an example, the first page of the Florida PTA audit form. Under section A, those are the items that should be provided from the treasurer to the audit committee for them to do the audit that is necessary. And under section B, it's just questions, yes or no questions. And then the next page, which I don't think is in here in the presentation, but it just breaks down the amount of the balance from your previous audit, your revenues in, your expenses out, and reconciles it to your ending balance for the fiscal year. So for tax filing, what IRS form is required to be filed? Local PTA units are required to file IRS Form 990, Return of Organization Exempt from Income Tax. There are 3 versions of IRS Form 990, so which one should we use? That is going to depend on your last 3 years average in gross income. So Form 990N is the simplest version and is used when your gross income over the last 3 years average is less than $50,000. So that doesn't necessarily mean if you make, say, 55, bring in 55,000 one year, but your previous 2 years were say 20 and 15, the average of those 3 is still under 50,000. So you would be able to file the card of 990N. Form 990EZ is the version is used when gross income over the last 3 years average is more than 50,000, but less than 200,000. And 990, the long form, is when your gross income over the last 3 years average is more than 200,000 and total assets are equal to or more than 500,000. Here is an example of a 990N submission. So what you do, if you qualify for the 990N, you would create a log on to the IRS website. You go in and fill out all the information with your EIN number, the tax you're submitting. And it just asks 3 basic questions. And then you click submit and you'll get an accepted status once the IRS accepts it. And that accepted status is what you want to take and print that out and send that to the Florida PTA at 990@floridapta.org. If your PTA receives any notices from the IRS, please send copy of the notice immediately to Florida PTA at compliance@floridapta.org. Please do not call the IRS. It will probably cause more confusion, and just send all that over to the compliance@floridapta.org. So our timeline for audit and tax deadlines: annual audit complete and filed to Florida PTA by August 31st. Audit at floridapta.org. 990 tax filing to the IRS, Form 990 or an extension if an extension is needed. A Form 8868 must be filed by November 15th. And if an extension is filed, then your 990 form will not be due till May 15th the following year. 990 tax filing to Florida PTA. Your Form 990 or extension approval must be filed to Florida PTA by November 30th at 990@floridapta.org. Now we're going to move on. Is there any questions about tax filing and audit filing? Okay. We're going to move on to some fundraising. General membership approves fundraisers. Fundraisers are listed under the income section of the budget. Contracts: if a fundraiser requires a contract to be signed, only the president is authorized to sign the contracts. 3-to-1 fundraising rule: under 501c3 guidelines, monies earned through fundraising need to follow the 3-to-1 rule. So if you have any large fundraisers that brings in most of your money for the year, that fundraiser needs to be able to provide for 3 programs for the school. 3 programs and events need to be supported by 1 fundraiser within reason. So if you have a fundraiser that only brings in, say, maybe $100 to $200, we know that that's not going to be able to support 3 programs. We're talking about your big fundraisers. If you have a holiday shop that brings in a decent amount of money, or if you do a fun run, things like that, that are your major fundraisers. So fundraising for a charitable class, not individuals. IRS regulations governing the 501c3 charitable organizations like PTA units are quite clear when it comes to using monies collected to benefit specific individuals. The group of individuals may properly receive assistance from a charitable association that is called the charitable class. Local unit PTA bylaws, Article 3, purposes defines the charitable class: those who may properly receive assistance from your 501c3 federal tax exemption associations. So our purpose under this is to promote the welfare of children and youth in home, school, places of worship, and throughout the community, to raise the standards of home life, to advocate for laws that further the education, physical and mental health, welfare, and safety of children, to promote the collaboration and engagement of families and educators in the education of children and youth, to engage the public in united efforts to secure the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social well-being of all children. And the last one I can't see from this page.
Heather, we have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Natalie wants to know, where would one pay the Broward County Council dues?
So the council dues, you can either send a check with the council due form that can be found on Broward County Council's website at browardptsa.org, or you can go on to, you can find it also online. You can pay online through the member hub on the browardpta.org's website as well. Does that answer the question? All clear?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. Fundraising for the charitable class. So the purpose of the PTA are promoted through an advocacy and educational program directed towards parents, teachers, and general public, developed through conferences, committees, projects, and programs. The association is organized exclusively for charitable, scientific, literary, and educational purposes within the meaning of the Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. So what this means is that there are many schools that have a family or a child in need that they would like to donate funds to. In this case, take your fundraising expertise outside of PTA to ensure that your PTA works within its purpose. PTA members volunteer their time and efforts to further the goals that PTA stands for. They have a strong sense of commitment to the community. No matter how well-intended it might be, 501c3 IRS tax-exempt charitable organizations, PTA funds cannot be used to benefit specific individuals or their families. If your community would like to collect funds to assist an individual, their families or others outside the PTA charitable class, the organization efforts must be conducted outside of the PTA, and any checks collected must be made payable to that individual and cannot be deposited into the PTA account. When donations are made payable to the PTA, those monies become PTA funds, and the distribution of those funds to such individuals are prohibited by IRS regulations. GoFundMe. Yes,
I'm sorry, Heather, I have a question for you.
yes.
So some PTAs use outreach. What is the main, as a title, what would out be used for if they use the title of outreach? Is it only for things like, let's say how we do the Thanksgiving event, or I'm trying to think of another one where they give to? What would outreach be used for?
What would outreach be used for? That is a very good question. I'm trying to think of where that would fall under. Outreach, I know you're helping a specific class in need. I will probably have to further review that and get back to you because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, because quite a few units use it.
Mhm.
And it's the umbrella of anything. So we just want to clarify, if you're using outreach, what does it benefit?
Okay, I will make a note of that and find out for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So GoFundMe. PTAs can use GoFundMe accounts to raise funds for a particular cause or item. Just as there are checks and balances in using debit and credit cards, there must also be checks and balances in the use of GoFundMe accounts. The board must meet and vote on what they would like to raise the funds for, and which two members of the board will have access to the GoFundMe page and transferring the funds to the bank and/or savings account. Once decided, the board must bring this to the general membership for a vote of approval. And after these steps have been taken, the GoFundMe page can be set up. Gift cards. This has always been everyone's favorite topic in the past. So gift cards, they can be purchased with PTA funds. The last I heard from Florida PTA, it was 2 times per year was allowed and a maximum of $25 per card. But I believe someone mentioned that they believe an individual can only receive a gift card or certificate 2 times per year from a PTA. So that I need to clarify. Gift cards and certificates should be treated like cash when it comes to documentation. So a gift card register is needed to log each individual gift card by card number. When the gift card is issued, the recipient's name needs to be logged in the gift card register to the corresponding gift card. Donated gift cards, certificates, and prepaid cards. Keep a log of all donated gift cards, certificates, and prepaid cards, including the donor name, date of receipt, and value. They can only be used in a silent auction or raffle or to purchase items that benefit the organization, not individuals. When used as an expense, a form should be completed with the receipts attached. Raffles and games of chance. Florida Department of Education, the Florida Red Book for Schools states that raffles conducted by a charitable nonprofit organization exempt from federal income tax may conduct raffles or drawings of chance in the name of the school, but the raffle may not be conducted on school property. PTA units must comply with the Florida statute to be eligible for exemption to conduct a drawing by chance or raffle. All the brochures and advertisements, notices, tickets, and entry blanks used in the connection with the drawing by chance shall noticeably disclose all of the following information: rules governing the conduct and operation of the drawing, the full name of the organization and its principal place of business. This would be the complete name of your PTA as shown on your charter and the address of the school. The source of the funds used to award cash prizes or to purchase prizes, the date, hour, and place where the winner will be chosen and the prizes will be awarded, unless all event literature are not offered to the public more than 3 days prior to the drawing, and that there's no purchase necessary to be part of it. So as an example, in the previous class, someone mentioned having a game night of bingo. So what it would be is as everyone's coming into your event, you can offer one free bingo card to everyone coming in, and then anyone can purchase additional ones. So that would be their donation to make those, to buy more bingo cards. Any questions on raffles or games of chance?
Hi, can you repeat that again, please? The raffles.
Go back to the slide. So any raffle that cannot be held on school property, and all the rules and advertisements must be displayed clearly and with the date, hour, and place of where the winner will be chosen and the prizes awarded, and that there's no purchase necessary to partake in that game of chance.
So Heather, here's my
Yes.
question
Mhm.
to piggyback on what she said. So we're playing bingo night.
Mhm.
On that particular night, an individual cannot pay for a bingo card. However, if they do it prior, let's say they set it up and all the payments are made prior, all they're bringing in is their bingo card for that night. Can that be done?
There's supposed to be no purchase necessary to participate. So that's where if you're having people come to the event and it's a bingo night, everyone should get, as they're walking in, one free bingo card. And then additional bingo cards can be optional, made for purchase.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Next, we're going to move on to unrelated business income, and this can get a little confusing. So 501c3 tax exempt status means that the PTA does not pay federal income tax on revenue from activities that are substantially related to the purpose for which PTA was given its exempt status. However, the PTA may be required to pay tax on other types of revenue referred to as unrelated business income or UBI. The net income from such activities will be subject to UBI tax if these three conditions are met. The activity constitutes a trade or business. The trade or business is regularly carried on. The trade or business is not substantially related to the exercise or the performance of our exempt purpose. So trade or business includes any activity carried on for the production of income from selling goods or performing services. The income from most PTA fundraising activities is exempt from federal income tax and not considered UBI because the activities are conducted only once per year. At least 85% of the work for the activities is conducted by volunteers, which is our PTA volunteers, and the activities consist of selling donated merchandise, such as silent or live auction of donated merchandise.
Heather, we
UBI,
have,
yes,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Letty wants to ask a question. She has a two-part question.
Okay.
Letty, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much. So this is kind of going back a little bit, but I just wanted to bring it up. And sometimes we just don't know because we get conflicting information. So our school, we have a playground that, and I'm sure you've heard these questions before. We have a playground that's unusable. And I know that they've discussed, we talked to the school and they've brought it to the district and supposedly there are going to be repairs or replacements or whatnot. But let's say that they don't do it, or, you know, is there a possibility to raise for that? And if not, if they do, you know, fix it and whatnot, it's also very hot and it's in a place where it gets direct sun. Could we raise for coverings? That's the first question around about the playground. The second one is we have equipment that they use for field day and other outdoor activities that are also broken and falling apart, and wanted to know if there is any way we can do something for that. We were told that I read the dollars and cents and I got some of that information, but also I see other conflicting. So I'm just wondering if we can get a clarity on those things.
So this is like a double-edged sword in a way.
Yeah.
Because with those type of items, your school and district should be providing for those. But if it is something your PTA wants to do, and if your general membership approves it,
Correct. Yeah.
by all means, that's something you can do. But when you're raising funds strictly for that, those have to be restricted funds, and those funds have to be set aside just for those. But
correct. So basically, sorry to cut you off. So basically, if we try and we only get $200, and that's what we have, right? Because it's restricted, and that's what we try to fundraise for. In that. So, and then also trying not to make a precedence for the school to say every year the PTA is going to try to repair, you know, all these things. So we understand that piece, but wanted to know if it was out of compliance if we try to.
Right.
You know,
because what you could do is, even if you do raise funds to do that, because if you do end up purchasing the sunshade to put over that or purchasing new equipment, you have to be careful because you might also be taking on the liability of all that afterwards as well. So if something would happen, it would come back to the PTA as being reliable for that and maintaining it. And that's what you don't want to happen. So the best thing would be, if you do want to raise funds to do that at the end of the school year or whenever the time comes to do it, you can write a check with a letter to the school saying, here's my donation going towards this, and all the liability goes along with it. And you would need to state that in the letter.
Didn't think about that part, but that makes perfect sense. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for those things. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. So continuing with the unrelated business income, exemption examples are PTA volunteers running your PTA store, sales from donated merchandise such as uniforms. Taxable income examples come from income from retailer that provides funds to PTAs when patrons use their business credit cards, income from spirit nights or fundraisers from local restaurants. This type of income can be exempt from UBI if the PTA provides a W-9 to the restaurant, and then it will be classed as a donation to the PTA. For reporting requirements for the unrelated business income, the IRS law requires nonprofits to report UBI when gross receipts are at least $1,000 collectively by using the IRS 990T and pay taxes on such income. Nonprofits also risk losing their tax exempt status if activities become the primary focus and make the tax exempt mission secondary. And if you have any questions or need further information to know if particular activity you are looking to do is subject to UBI tax, you can always contact the Florida PTA state office. Moving on to sales tax, just remember one thing, sales tax helps support our schools. So PTA units are responsible for paying sales tax on resale items such as yearbooks, your uniforms, your stencils. When sales tax is paid to the vendors at the time of purchasing these items, the PTA sales tax obligation is fully met. PTA will then not be required to collect sales tax on any merchandise and not required to file sales tax on the Florida Department of Revenue. Sales tax exemption certificates, they are not required, but you are entitled to have them, and you can apply by using the steps in the Florida Kit of Materials dollars and cents. And on to Florida, the PTA insurance and why it's important. So our first level of insurance is PTA for if someone gets injured at your events and that the PTA holds, the PTA can be held responsible. For example, concession stands, parties, swim parties, bounce houses, dunking booths. Then the next type of insurance is accidental medical, designed to complement your general liability insurance to provide medical coverage for risks that's specifically excluded from the liability policy, not limited to, but includes mechanical rides, like the rides that we have at carnivals, school buses, automobiles, watercrafts. Your bond insurance, that covers anyone that your PTA trusts with money, whether it's an officer, board member, volunteer, or courier. If the person embezzles your money, this policy will replace those missing funds. Property insurance, this cover protects your raffle auction merchandise, your fundraising supplies while it's in your possession. Policy protects any personal property of your PTA, such as your popcorn machine, snow cone maker, store supplies, emergency supplies, etc. And what that means is if there's, God forbid, a fire, there's a theft, anything like that, and then any property is stolen, your property insurance would cover that. And lastly is your directors and officers liability insurance. This protects offices, the officers from any decision making that they do. If someone decides to sue any of the officers for mismanaging or misrepresenting the PTA, this insurance will help provide protection against these allegations.
Madam Treasurer, I have two
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
Number one, goodness, it went out of my head. I'll ask my second question first. Who signs contracts? That's one. And how should a contract be signed?
Contracts should only be signed by the president. And when you say how should they be signed, what do you mean?
I think what happens sometimes that it happens that sometimes individuals sign their name first and not the PTA. So they need to be aware that when they're signing these contracts, that the name of the PTA goes first. And then if they're the president, then they list their information second, because they can be liable if they put their name first on the contract and then the PTA and probably then the school.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, and that's the end of all the presentation. I am here for any questions. You can email me, treasure@browardptsa.org. We are also available online, Facebook, Twitter, and our website, browardptsa.org. And I believe there is a QR code here. They added that after. Let me pull it up and see what it does. I can let you guys know. Oh, it goes to, okay, so this is, if you can scan this QR code, this goes to a survey, it looks like.
Okay, so you have it, great.
Mhm.
And then Monique had a question. Is there a list of recommended insurance from Broward County PTA or Florida PTA, insurance companies?
Yes, there are. I know the most popular one that I believe is used is AIM, AIM. There is another one that is used. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but send me an email that's what you're looking for, and I'll gladly provide you with some companies to choose from.
Okay, and Evelyn, can you please post again the contact information slide?
Yes. Are there any other questions or discussion?
Hi, my name is Juliet, and I wanted to know in regards to the W-9 for when we do family nights at restaurants. So you say a W-9 needs to be presented to the manager at the restaurant?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. That form can be found on the irs.gov website, and you just pretty much put your EIN number on there, fill out the information, and it can be signed by the treasurer, and then present that when you have your night, and then that way they can make sure that that'll go to you as a donation. And you'll have
Okay.
record of it as going as a donation to you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other if anyone wants a copy
yeah, I
of
had
the
a question.
presentation, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, there was something else you mentioned about the, oh, sorry, I have to try to find it. I took a picture. The UBI, it said that to report on the form 990T,
Yes,
if you raise more than 1,000?
yeah,
didn't
more than
quite understand.
$1,000.
In anything, or what do you mean?
No,
for fundraising?
in any unrelated activity. So like if you have several restaurant nights, spirit nights, and that money adds up to over $1,000, unless they give it to you as a donation because you provide them your W-9, you would have to file the 990T for that, anything over $1,000. Because that's not something that any volunteers assisted with, and it wasn't 85% volunteer with it. Does that make sense?
Kind of. So that's only for restaurant nights.
That's the
Basically.
biggest part of it that will add up quickly to have you have UBI revenue.
Okay, thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Comments?
No, the last thing is that I just wanted to add, we'll be receiving this presentation in a couple of days.
Yes, I believe it'll be available on the website, but if you want, you can just shoot me an email to the treasurer@browardptsa.org and I can reply and send it right to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
this is Wendy King. I know there was a lot of confusion going back and forth with the Treasury and the Secretary's class. We
Mhm.
apologize for that. I will say that all of these presentations you will have on the website. And I did list the our Broward PTSA website. You must put the www in front of it. I'll post it again. And again, we apologize for the mix-up.
Thank you.
No problem.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions or anything to discuss, I greatly appreciate everyone. I will put the QR code up here again for the survey, and please, if you can provide us any feedback that could help us improve our presentation, or if there's something in there we didn't cover that you have questions on, please feel free to let us know. We're here to help you in any way that we can. We're here to support you, and we thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for sharing your Saturday with us. We appreciate you all. And if you need help with anything, as Heather said, we're here for you. Thank you very much, Heather, for your presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.